Welcome back to the show and welcome to See the Stories. This is the special segment of the 3-hour news show. Now, January marks International Zero Waste Month, a stark reminder of the urgent environmental challenges we face globally, particularly the escalating crisis of plastic pollution.
I know how bad this is, and to understand the significance of International Zero Waste Month, let's explore some sobering facts about global waste generation. Annually, our planet produces a staggering 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste. This figure is projected to soar to 3.40 billion tons within the next 3 decades.
That's massive. Municipal solid waste encompasses all the everyday items we use, from food packaging and clothing to bottles, leftover food, paper, and batteries.
Despite advancements in recycling technologies, less than 20% of this waste is actually recycled, with the remaining 80% ending up in landfills to pose a serious threat to our environment.
Wow, I mean, look at, our region, particularly Indonesia, though. We are the second biggest polluter in the sea and also food polluter.
I was about to say that, food
after
waste.
China, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And remember that a couple of weeks ago, we got a news about how the plastic waste being stuck at the beach of Bali in Kuta, where a lot of plastic bottles and also plastic containers being stranded on the beaches.
But on the good note, though, I heard that Jakarta is actually building a waste facility in North Jakarta that could process up to 40% of Jakarta waste. Hopefully,
40%,
this will
that's a big number.
Exactly, this will come effect, and the facility is expected to run this year, and hopefully it will run as soon as possible.
Yes. Now, to learn more about zero waste action, we now have with us some environmental activists. Here in the studio is Dietplastik Indonesia Executive Director Tiza Mafira, Greenpeace Philippines Zero Waste Campaigner Marian Ledesma, and Zero Waste Tourism Vietnam Lead Coordinator Hanh Vu. Good evening, ladies.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, Tiza.
Hello. Hi.
Kumusta, Miss Ledesma?
Doing good.
Xin chào, Ms. Han. Thank you so much for being here in our talk show here. And also, we want to know, because as Rory just said, we are celebrating the Zero Waste Month. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. And also, Tiza here, during our off-air, we were also mentioning a little bit about the Zero Waste. But what are the key campaigns or programs in January 2025 that are specifically intended to celebrate Zero Waste Month? Probably we can start with Tiza.
Sure. January is a month where people have resolutions.
Yes,
right?
We all do.
And
New Year, new me.
New Year,
Every
new
single
me.
year.
Less of this, less of that.
Yeah.
One of the resolutions that people like to take on in January is, oh my God, I generate so much waste. I need to generate less. And frankly, a lot of people are sick about the amount of single-use plastic that we are almost forced to generate every day because there are no other options, right? So for Dietplastik Indonesia, our main campaign for January is reuse. It's coming back to reuse solutions, because a lot of people ask us, look, I want to get rid of all the single-use plastic, but I need stuff. How do I get my stuff without single-use plastic?
Well,
And our answer is reuse. You have reuse containers, you get reuse service providers, and those options are available. We've been celebrating a really great 2024 this January, because in 2024, we had a campaign with Mandalika MotoGP, the international motorcycle racing competition in Lombok, Indonesia. And we had the VIP session. The VIP section completely used reuse systems, and they did not generate a single, residual waste. No single-use waste at all.
So, you know what? We are talking in this segment with 3 champions of the environment, right? 3 ladies from different countries. So Tiza is from Indonesia, and Han, of course, is from Vietnam, and Marian is from the Philippines, right? So from Dietplastik, we've got your answer, Tiza. And I would like to jump to Vietnam, I think. Han, what are you doing in terms of new resolution in the new year for zero waste movement?
Han, I'm sorry, I think you're still muted. You're still on mute.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
There you
go.
We got you.
Thank you for having me. And I think for Vietnam,
Han,
usually we,
I think the voice of yours is cracking though. Excuse us. I think we need some time to fix it. But we'll jump to Marian first while we're fixing your audio, right? So Marian, what about Philippines? What are you committed to doing there for this month?
In the Philippines is doing much of the same work that is happening in Indonesia. We're highlighting reuse and refill solutions, as well as businesses championing zero waste models. And we want to demonstrate that reuse can not only reduce plastic pollution, but also bring positive impacts to communities. And it's more than just an environmental initiative, but it really is a whole of society approach to doing better. And Greenpeace, Mother Earth Foundation, and our allies are convening groups to create a Philippine Reuse Consortium under the Asia Reuse Consortium work. And really is a community of practice for reuse and a platform to share insights and advance reuse and refill initiatives. And we're starting a reuse study tour and conference this month, replicating the work that's been done in Jakarta before with Plastic Diet Indonesia, and also the support of Gaia and Break Free from Plastic.
Okay, probably I want to stay with the Philippines for this next question.
It's like Miss
We know-
Universe.
But how is the culture there in the Philippines? I mean, Tiza was actually mentioning about how here in Indonesia we are being forced to use the single plastic use containers because we have no choice of the establishments using their single plastic use. How is it in the Philippines? And also, how is the reaction from the people of the Philippines towards this particular initiative on zero waste?
Yeah, well, in the Philippines, we're really struggling to achieve zero waste because we do have some issues with our waste management system. But more than that, in particularly for plastic pollution, we are also having a sachet economy that's driven by consumer goods companies and existing systems.
True.
And a study actually reported that Philippines use around 163 million sachets on a daily basis.
Wait,
And it's
on a
this
daily
huge
basis.
amount. Yes, on a daily basis across different kinds of items. But people know the effects and they want to do something about it. But at the same time, their options are currently limited. So they want to change, they want to have different ways, move away from these polluting packaging and products. But at the same time, they also need alternatives that are accessible and affordable. Something different that doesn't come in single-use plastic packaging. So that really is one of the challenges that we hope will be addressed with policies and alternative models
Right.
like reuse and refill systems.
Marian, thank you. Now I'd like to re-jump to Han, which is the Zero Waste Tourism Vietnam lead coordinator. So Han, what are you committed to doing in terms of zero waste this month?
Okay, I hope you hear me well now.
Yes, perfect.
In annual January in Vietnam, we actually celebrating the Lunar New Year, and I think that in our culture, we always know how to manage our resource and materials at home very, very well. Also include similar to what Tiza and Marian also mentioned, reusing and not depending on the single-use plastic convenience is actually a part of our culture. So I think everywhere now in the country, coming back to the family and community culture, it's also, showing that we want to be a part of this movement. But there's one also exciting event happened not in January, but not long ago in December, also a part of our partnership with Dietplastik. It was the first time the stakeholders in the tourism sector in Vietnam, we came together and discussed about how to promote the reuse actions across the sector. And there actually already a lot of good practice. For example, in Hoi An, where we are based, and many of the tourism destinations across the country, for example, replacing the refillable water bottles in the guest rooms is already become a very common practice. But we want to move beyond that. We want to also engage the travelers and also the local community, the social enterprise who provide the solutions and be a part of the ecosystem, also join the movement. So we're working on that.
So before jumping to the definition of zero waste, though, actually Jakarta and Bali have made, in terms of Indonesian context, Jakarta and Bali have made significant progress of ditching single-use plastic bag, but we are still using heavily single-use plastic for e-commerce, right, and for other purposes as well. So what is actually the definition of zero waste that you are aiming to?
Zero waste is a lifestyle in which we try to eliminate as much as possible residual waste, right? And a lot of people don't know what residual waste is. You have to know it by doing it. You have to implement it within your own lifestyle, right? So this is the journey that I went through within my own lifestyle. Just to make this relatable, so when I started caring about waste, I started trying to segregate all my waste. So I knew my organic waste was going to get composted. I knew that there were certain things that I could reuse, right? I could bring a tote bag. I could reject straws. I could just not use them at all. I knew there were certain things that my waste bank would accept, which means that it could be recycled. And then all of the other stuff, I realized, where does this go? My waste bank doesn't want them, which means that it doesn't get recycled, and that's residual waste. And with zero waste, at least you know what is residual waste in your locality, because all localities will have different kind of types of residual waste, right? Because what can be recycled here may not be able to be recycled somewhere else, even in the same country, right? And then you try as much as possible to stop generating that residual waste. So I figured out, all right, my menstrual pads apparently can't be recycled. So I started using reusable systems, right?
Which is possible.
Absolutely possible. And I started figuring out, well, sachets can't be recycled. Absolutely, sachets are a problem in Indonesia as well as the Philippines as well as Vietnam. And I started just not buying anything in sachets. Candy, small sachets. Stop buying that. Good for your health as well, by the way.
I stopped on the candy bus.
Good for weight prevention as well. So when you have transparency as to what's residual waste in your household, you stop using it, and that's zero waste.
But also, I want to go to both Hanh and also Marian. We know that in Asia specifically and also especially, we have a very difficult situation when encouraging people to stop using plastic or probably just reducing the residual waste, like what Tiza said. How do you encourage individuals and communities in your country to adopt a zero waste lifestyle in that sense? Probably let's go to Hanh first.
Well, I think for example, picking the tourism sector, it's not only about the tourism business and the travelers, but it's also the local community and the local government, how we work together in cultural and ecological preservation, and also make sure that sustainable livelihood are available for everyone. So I think zero waste also means that the responsibilities to managing our waste and the rights and the benefits of it need to be distributed to all of the stakeholders. Formal or informal, we know that in Vietnam or in other Southeast Asia, the informal waste pickers play a very important role in, making sure that things are, like segregate again after the families and the business segregated at source. So I think it's important here also how to make sure the actions are consistent, right? So it's a matter of the system design and how we can actually inspire people to see the benefits of it Not only now and also, like economically, we actually save a lot of costs. Talking about the restaurant, what you waste and what you throw away is actually what you're wasting.
All right.
It's time to look into your operation, right? So we always trying to encourage them to take the system change at the operational level, not just start with the waste segregation, but start, take a close look into how they actually design the menu or the target audience that they, the customers. So by aligning all of those factors to make the operation sustainable, not only for the business, but also for the local community and for the local environment. I think we will come to the point that the business can be a part of this zero waste system.
Probably let's go to Marian. We know that in terms of eliminating the waste, like going to zero waste, we need a certain steps of educating, right? Now, Philippines is a big country. How do you ensure that this education on zero waste could actually reach to the level of barangay, let's say, villages?
Yeah, I think it's important to ensure that all different stakeholders at different levels have the information they need, get access to data that can help them, and also realize that this is a systemic issue. Not one person can make the change. It has to be collective action from the government, from businesses, from us as consumers. And for Greenpeace, we want to ensure that when we're introducing or talking about alternatives to single-use plastics or single-use formats, we're also making it practical and doable for communities of different kinds and different types. So right now we're working on Kuha sa Tingi, which is our refill stations in community stores, and other organizations like Mother Earth Foundation are doing the same with a different kind of business model, but essentially bringing alternative businesses to the communities to give them options that aren't based on single use, and really options that are designed for reuse and refill systems. And we want to show that these business models, they aren't just good for acting on plastic pollution, but they're also good for people and nature in general, protecting people's health, ensuring that we have a healthy environment that allows us to have livable communities. Those are important for people, and that's how we want to encourage them. And we also want to connect that people understand that everything's interconnected, so that when they're doing something around zero waste, it's not just to address one problem, but it also can address all the different challenges and issues that are being faced by their community.
I mean, talking to these three ladies, it gives me optimism that we are moving towards the direction of applying zero waste mentality. But of course, we at the grassroots level or the human or society level is not enough, as we need the support from the business and also the policymakers' sides as well. And my questions after the break would be how you guys engage with the policymakers to make regulations or policy that support zero waste movement and encourage us to reduce waste as much as we can. Now we're gonna take a break for a very short break, and we'll continue our talk after this. Don't go anywhere.